Welcome, Walnut. I'm Lara, but you can call me Laz, your host for Walnut Wednesday. This is your reminder to be brave, be yourself, and know that you can make the world a better place just by what you decide today. Here, I'm going to share my weekly walnuttings with you on a Wednesday. Hello, Walnut. It is me, Laz, here for another episode of Walnut Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in. And this week, I am lucky enough to speak with my online friend, Amron. Hello. Hello. Welcome. So, Walnut, Amron and I met on the onlines, on the Instagrams, and I believe we have been maybe in a couple of containers together, but namely because you co-wrote The Priestess Codes, which is a book that I'm reading at the moment. So naturally I followed and have been reading it. So I'm tagging both Amy and Amron, and then we got to talking and I'm obsessed. So Amron, do you have anything else to add to our love story?
Yeah, I want to add that I came on to you first. I reached out, I asked for the first date, and that I just get whiffs of you on reels, and I'm just like, who is this woman? She's hilarious. Like, I get your humor. I didn't even realize that you and I had different accents until like a week ago, and I was like, oh crap, this might mean we have completely different humor because we're coming from completely different parts of the planet here. So that was a little moment of like, oh crap, I hope we can actually translate each other's codes. But otherwise, I'm just like, let's just wing it. Let's just be together. And when I tune into you, I'm like, we're just going to have belly laughs together, A, and B, we need to be on a podcast for our first date. So here we are.
Yeah, I love it. It just worked out.
Thanks for saying yes.
Thanks for asking. And before we get into all the juicy goss and all the things, can you please just introduce yourself to the walnuts that are listening who have never met you before?
Sure, I can introduce myself. I am a seeker. I am a freedom seeker. I am a woman who has been through the ringers, plural, of sovereignty, identity, choosing to play small, hiding for your own sense of keeping safe or out of harm's way. I have done all the things, listened too much to others, done everything right, and walked that walk of breaking through, saying the big fuck you, fuck everything, escaped my life effectively on multiple levels at different times of my life. And just am really on this path of freedom, really claiming myself, doing what lights me up, really honoring that when I am lit up, I do my best work. I am my best self. Everybody wins. Nobody has to lose. There's no element of compromise in life right now. That's where I'm at. And so here I am. I'm a mom. I'm divorced. I'm a healer. I'm a medical doctor, retired, and just really feeling like my work here is to feed and fuel this massive tidal wave of woman's awakening that is just like spilling across the planet right now, on fire. And I'm here to do it by working with a select few individual bad bitch women. And I'm also here to broadcast my, I'm going to say, joy and freedom frequencies across humanity for the masses.
Wow, I feel like that is so powerful. It's like you can, with you and your energy, I feel like, yeah, we can, like you said, have the belly laughs, we can be silly bananas, we can laugh and do all the things, but we can take it to this, it's not even the seriousness, but just this powerfulness. And I really feel that in you. So I'm so looking forward to what kind of comes out when we're talking today. I love what you mentioned, which will be in the show notes, but that you work with women who choose themselves, and women who are done with compromises where we lose. Like, I feel like that just struck a little chord in me. And I would like to know what kind of brought you to where you are now, and you don't have to share a specific
Yeah.
situation or something if you don't want to, but
Sure.
where did this kind of like path begin, I suppose?
Ooh, where did it begin? It all started when I was in my mother's womb.
Yes.
Great question. I think I want to start it by saying what came to me immediately when you mentioned
Yeah.
belly laughs, which was I was just in ceremony not too long ago with a woman, well, with a number of women. And as the guide, you might think that your job is not only to hold the space and to facilitate whatever is coming forward through and from each individual person in the room. Yes. And what I found was laughter was the theme of the day. There was one person in particular I was working most closely with, and we just rolled around in the snow, laughing our heads off like happy, teddy bears. It was just silly, goofy, like, bear cubs rolling around, inside, outside, and throughout that multiple hour period, the medicine was coming through just as strong as ever before. The laughter was the purge. The laughter was shaking off the sticky remnants of things that needed to go, pain, memories, old ways and confines of doing things. Anyway, it was just really powerful to have a glimpse here and there throughout the ceremony of what was really going on behind the scenes, while all we needed to do was like belch and laugh the whole time. And it was so freaking amazing and fun. It was great. It was just like shimmer, shimmer, shimmer. The medicine was like, woo, like doing this for us, like stay distracted. Look at me. I'm being so amazing. Right. But really, all behind the scenes was the work getting done. And it didn't need to be grim. It didn't need to be hard. It didn't need to feel like labor. Some journeys, some experiences, some meditative experiences, some healing sessions are very much like that, where you're just in it, in the underworld, in your shadow, in the hard work, right? Mm-hmm. This was anything but that. And we were just dumbfounded, it was just so fun. And it was like, wow, that was a total waste, and I was like, no, actually, so anyway, it's just fun. Like, it gets to be like that. It gets to be like that.
I love it because there is like this, there is a very, I don't know, it just comes back to what I was saying, like with shadow work and all that kind of stuff, there is this serious note to it and how it's hard and all the things. And you do go through life and things are hard and it does get difficult sometimes, but just this whole other take on working through things through joy and laughter. I've never heard it before and I'm so intrigued and amused and I love it and I'm vibing with it and it sounds really great. I've got a little tear in my eye, like I'm really like feeling this passion that you have behind it. It's beautiful. Yeah, so
well, I didn't make this up, so I'll tell you what I can, but honestly, just know that I didn't make this up. This is just how the medicine comes through. I really firmly believe that we are all templated. We all have a blueprint or a grid that demonstrates our gift or our contribution to humanity, to our village, to our family, to whatever, right? It's rare in a family, just to give a very close-up example, to find two people in a family who perform the exact same role in the family unit, right? We're all this like speckled spectrum amalgamation coming together into a family unit. We all bring our own unique characteristics, traits, personality, tics, or whatever you want to call it. And so as such, we do that same in our village community space, which is harder to find, this modern day than before, but then take it even more globally, right? We all have a role or a contribution that we can perform. So for me, it's been a constant process, not constant, but I'm going to say around the age of 26 is when I was just like, that was my biggest like fuck it moment. I was leaving medical school. I was leaving the medical track. I was quitting my day job of being compliant with the man, with the patriarchy. I was quitting my day job of being a wife in a marriage that wasn't nourishing either of us, and just really recognizing that so much of the landscape of my life needed to be flooded out and washed out and just started fresh. And it's a really hard moment when your marriage identity, identifier number 1, and your career identity, identifier number 2, two big ones, right? And your whole measure of success aren't working for you. You know, you're just like, wow, am I a complete and utter failure? What does this mean? It takes a great amount of courage to wash the slate clean on either of those fronts, let alone both at the same time, and to trust yourself over the people closest to you saying, oh, you're throwing it all away. No, you didn't, try hard enough,
Yeah.
And I was facing that. I mean, that isn't the only time it's been hard, but that was definitely the pinnacle of hardship, breaking through, recognizing myself anew and choosing myself over every other pathway, even as the path was completely black and dark and not paved for me, Yeah, it was a lot.
And like was because I imagine you would have had to really walnut and be really, really brave through those kind of situations. Did it happen at the same time, the job marriage?
It happened at the same time. And it was, I guess some people would say it looked like a Saturn return. And yeah, it might have been when I was 28 as well that this phase was happening, but it was a long process of doing the right thing, staying on path, complying, compromising in that I would be making do at the expense of putting off my happiness till later, staying in school, being diligent, doing all the spiritual work on top of that. How many women listening now and men are all about taking ownership of what's yours, taking responsibility for your happiness, taking responsibility for your emotional well-being, and not making it your friends and family's problems, not making it your partner's problems or the job, not blaming anyone but yourself, but really taking full responsibility for yourself, for your happiness, for your emotions, etc. And in being responsible, how many of us forget that despite all that work we can do, tending to our own garden, being thankful, doing all the spiritual work, if the air we're breathing is toxic, we're never going to get full wellness. We're never going to get there. And I had to realize that,
And I feel like this is an energy that's going on in multiple spaces of not only my life, but I know that a few walnuts have it as well. And I feel like that shedding process is probably one of the hardest things to not only admit to yourself, but also to begin. So do you have any advice for if a walnut's listening that's like, I'm stuck and I want to change, but I'm afraid, or it's just easier this way. It's a burden,
I have a lot of advice. Yes. And what I first want to say is that this story of mine was 15 years ago. So I am well practiced, well beyond it, well practiced. I've done it again in another format. I've done it again in another format. And I feel that you described it beautifully by saying it's the getting started that's the hardest, because once you get that ball rolling, you never look back. And this is my advice coming through at the same time, which is to say that with every single tiny step forward you take, once you've decided, the rewards come in spades. The clarity comes in spades. People come out of the woodworks to not only help you, which is just the universe bestowing upon you that fat, full sack of love and treasures that have been waiting for you, but you weren't able to receive it, so it couldn't give it to you because you were stuck in go-do mode, comply mode. Not only is that sack of treasures coming out and just pouring onto you and giving you so much confirmation, but also out of the woodworks are going to come all of your friends and family who were watching you struggle, who were watching you get stymied by your partnership, who were watching you choose other things other than yourself, watching you, wilt your energy instead of holding your frequency, right? Watching you not vouch for yourself when you could have, right? And they're going to praise you, show you what they saw back there, on the path, how you didn't do the things you could have done, how your partners and your, work never really looked fulfilling, blah, 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 blah. You're going to get so much more information than you had before because everyone was being quiet. rooting for your survival, not sure which path you were going to take, right? So go. Take the step. And if you're at that point right before you do, reach out to a really trusted friend and say, listen, I've got blind spots. Just show them to me, please. I need to see what I cannot see. And honestly, it's funny I just said that, because that literally is the message that I have, what do I want to say, set as an intention for a number of people I get to work with, which brings me to this one thing. It is an honor to work with someone on the brink of choosing themselves. They are in the most uncomfortable, pent up moment of turmoil where their pain factor is so high that it's almost painful to be touched sometimes, you know, not literally, but, you know, emotionally. It's painful to open your heart and let someone see into the shit show you've got going on, stashed behind this beautiful closet door, you know?
Yeah.
And I speak as a practitioner when I say it is such a high honor to be entrusted with that degree of just delicacy. And if you could see yourself, Walnut, as that delicacy, as that cherished, precious being, and how much value and fulfillment and gratification you carry for that someone you entrust yourself with, that might just help change your perspective a little bit too. Because you are precious, precious. And you've got to remember that. And that's me getting kind of a little bit into my spiritual perspective, but I feel like it's so important. And when you ask me that question, what is your last question again? You say like, how do you want that or something? What's your term?
Well, I call it walnutting when you decide to be brave, when you have little
there
moments.
You are. Yeah. What walnutting is to me is remembering or recognizing how precious you are. And I want to say it this way, recognizing that you opted in, you volunteered to come here, to be here in human form, to incarnate into a human body as a toothless, flopping around baby. You know, you volunteered to go through that shit and to work your way as basically a stupid, brainless human coming with a blank slate. You volunteered to fucking forget about all your galactic lineages, all your parallel existences, all your power, all your capability, all your knowledge. You volunteered to go in deaf, dumb, and blind. You volunteered to come in as a human being. And as such, you are deserving, to use the most wimpy word I can imagine right now, fucking deserving at the very fucking least, to receive all that you desire, to receive joy, to receive love, to be happy, to be comfortable, to be well compensated, to be appreciated, to be seen. You're worthy. Like, there are a million ways to say that. I know not all of them will land, but I'm trying to just create the framework here. Like, it is big. It is vast. Like, your value is real. And when you can root into that, that helps you choose yourself, I think. And that helps you press go on which is letting go of the bullshit. Just cut that shit out, you know, just press go on yourself. You holding out your own life, that's not a win for anyone. And it doesn't make the prize on the other side even bigger. It doesn't make it any bigger. It doesn't make heaven any prettier. It doesn't make the afterlife any better. It doesn't make the end of life better. It's not a bigger reward on the other end. It's not. Now is the time. You were given this opportunity, this body, this time, this limited life. Holding out is not going to reward you bigger and better on the other side. That's what I want to say. So just choose it now. Just do it.
Oh, I don't even have comment. Like, wow, fuck, that was great. I think I really, really agree with you, and you have like just you haven't changed my perspective. I completely hear and feel what you're saying. I just never thought about things that way, about you're not going to be compensated later. And we talk about, the Walnuts and I talk about a lot of the time being in the present moment, because when you're thinking about what's going to come or what you've done before and kind of spiraling these things, you can't do that inner grounding, like you kind of mentioned, that helps you press the go button, as you say. So yeah, really just being in your things. And I feel like as a humanship, as a society and all the things, we look to these external things, be it looking in the future or looking in the past, or these other things that are not of us right now. Sometimes it's material things and stuff like that, but everything we need is in our body and in our heart. And I love how you mentioned like joy and laughter and all these things that are not something you can actually hold, because that is the heart center, that is the key, right? So thank you for sharing that. I feel it in my butt, I feel it in my body, I've got goosebumps everywhere, I've got little tears in my eyes again. That was so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Oh, and you got the what does being a walnut mean to you in there as well. Like, oh, where do I even go from here? I don't even know. So let's maybe, Amron, go down the path of your spiritual awakening. Like, did you wake up one day and become woo-woo, or did you did something specific happen? And was it the marriage and job quitting that kind of like brought you into this? Or
I really kind of wanted to flip that question onto you as well. Just how would you answer that question?
So that's really interesting. And my favorite answer to this question, I believe, was I was interviewed a long time ago. And I think it's still one of my favorite ways how I not presented myself, but how I spoke about myself on Amy's podcast, The Third Eye Awakening, where I kind of just like, it was the first time I sort of talked about this sort of stuff on the other end of an interview. And the thing I always come back to is my friend Jamie, who I love dearly. She was my work wife, and now she's just like my life partner friend. She talks about religion. We used to get into these really wonderful chats, and she talked about religion, and she grew up, I think, Christian, Catholic, whatever, all the different things, but she called it her spiritual quilt, where she would pick things from Christianity and pick things from this and that, and just make her own patchwork quilt of things that resonated with her, that she sort of believed in. And I feel like I've kind of been picking these little things and making my own spiritual patchwork quilt.
I like that.
To a religious one. So I take things of different things that I like, different modalities, different things, and I've kind of made my own thing. And there wasn't really a specific thing that happened to me in terms of an awakening as such, because I've always just liked little bits and I've just plonked them on this quilt.
Hey, I think that's what makes it the most authentic to you. It didn't come in a box of dogma that you had to, build, you know what I mean? Like a full kit, complete. Same for me. I haven't been formally trained in this,
Yeah.
And just like, yeah. So, but I've studied so much because that's part of my, I guess you could say, personal, I don't even want to say insecurities, but let's just call it that. I like to study and know that I've developed a degree of mastery before I present it to the world. So I've studied every modality under the sun, every modality that's turned me on, everyone, like 15 different modalities, healing modalities. And I've come to conclusions from that. But as far as having like a dogma or like a religiosity or anything like that, I don't really have one. Yeah. And I really kind of respect that for us. I think we're more authentic that way. We're less likely to chew up someone else's understanding of spirituality and spit it out and regurgitate it. We're more likely to really kind of come up with our own creed.
Absolutely. And I think it's like, I don't know, I'm similar to you, where I really like learning and I like hearing what people have to say. And there are these thousands of modalities that people have come up with, but a lot of the time it's their interpretation of what someone else said. So why the fuck can we not do that? You know what I mean? It's not like I'm making up my own or something, but like,
yeah, no, I'm with you.
I'm picking what resonates with me and using that as in my teachership or healingship or lifeship.
Exactly. So I know that you are a healer, and I know that you've worked with the Reiki modality. Have you found that even with that, and maybe the other ones you've worked with, that you've got your own flavor for that? You've got your own flow with that?
Yeah, definitely. And I surprise myself lots of the time because of, when I go to get with Reiki, you can do it on yourself and all the things. But when I've gone to get another one, I'm like, oh, that's different to how I do it. So it's always like everyone is so it's
Unique.
just a tool. It's just like the
Exactly.
hammer,
The
but you're the
framework.
one, yeah, you're the one using it, right? So I
Which
think
is
that
exactly, I think that's so valuable that you say that. So the hammer is the Reiki, but you are the wielder of that hammer.
yeah.
And the nail gets to choose, do I want this wielder? Do I want this wielder? Do I want this wielder? So it really, I felt like someone on this needs to hear that for some reason. So it obliterates the necessity to be, to feel like you're not relevant, to feel like there's competition, to feel like you're just a one in a dozen, all of that is just illusory extra. We don't need to worry about that. And somebody needed to hear that. So that's why I'm popping that in right there. But really, for me as a healer, I feel that it's just about getting in tune, getting in flow, opening the channels, and being in receiving mode without being clear first and then being in receiving mode. Because what we can receive gets filtered through any bullshit or niggling hangups we've got going on. So like if we're feeling inferior, for example, everything we see is going to be filtered through the inferiority lens, right? So we're more likely to feel victimized. We're more likely to feel mistreated in random acts of, out in the world, right? So keeping our vessel clear is like number one in my personal creed. And then number two is doing whatever it takes to raise my frequency so that my channel's open. And when my channel's open, like the crown channel, for example, we're bringing in insight that is for the highest good of the person we're administering to.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So a lot of the walnuts that listen, they love the woo because they're here with me. But we, as a walnut collective, most of us are actually like 9 to 5 workers. I still work, and I call it the Shark Tank, but I still work 9 to 5. Can you give any advice or overarching whatever's coming up for you for the 9 to 5 worker who's not necessarily ready to sort of stick it to the man, but like just is getting this niggling nudge of like, oh, it's actually not as linear as I think it is.
It meaning life.
Life, it's not so structured and serious as I'm painted it to be, sort of thing.
Gotcha. Boy, I feel like that's everybody right now. I can't
Yeah,
imagine anybody who's listening to you who doesn't feel that way.
it's like a thing. It's really, yeah.
Yes. So here's how I see it. And I'm going to give a whole different analogy so that we can kind of bypass the pea brain, as I like to call it, and open to receiving this with the cells of our psyche, if I want to just use my own words. Okay. So sometimes we're talking about, the 9 to 5, but really I'm going to use a whole different analogy so that it can absorb through the subconscious. Okay. So when you see a person on the street who's wearing glasses, like they need reading glasses or driving glasses or whatever, do you curse their glasses and say, oh boy, that person is just shortcutting life, they're not really going full out here because they didn't will themselves to be able to see all the way, they're using those glasses as a crutch, right? Or just let them use the glasses so they can see well, so they can focus on their driving, right? It's probably the latter. And the glasses are an example of, or an analogy of, the 9 to 5 job. Instead of seeing your job as a crutch, or conversely, instead of seeing your job as a hindrance, see it as a tool, see it as a way to take one thing off your plate. Be that money, be that a sense of purpose, be that anything that the job fulfills for you. Let that be one box on your long list of things checked off so that you don't have to worry about it. So bring appreciation to that one aspect of the 9 to 5 existence. And honestly, like if we were coaching on this, I would help you come up with a list of like 7 juicy things about having a job that you could turn your attention to and tell you very, very, very distinctly, I guess you'd say, or deliberately, intentionally, to just frickin' forget about every other aspect of your job. I hate my commute. My boss is a dick. You know, all the things, just give those a pass. Put a sheet over it. Don't even look at that. Put the blinders on that, and just appreciate the snot out of those 7 things. Like the trees. I pass by the most gorgeous flowering trees on my drive. I cross this bridge. I get to see the mountain. I get like 20 minutes of like peaceful time without my kids in the car. I got time to listen to a podcast if I want to. I can sing at the top of my lungs, which really brings up my vibe. Like that's what I'm talking about. 7 random things that happen to be associated with your 9 to 5. If you can focus on those 7 things, honestly, for like, let me just tune into your crowd here. 45 days for like 80% of your people. And for those 45 days, really just give a pass to all those things that are just like annoying you. Your shit is going to completely transform. Now, add to that you want something. And I don't know what your walnuts want. So perhaps they want to feel like they are developing their psychic gifting while they are working a 9 to 5. Perhaps they want to feel like they are developing their wealth building capabilities while they have a 9 to 5. Perhaps they feel like they want more time freedom. A lot of us feel that way. I'm getting that one strongly from some of them. So with time freedom, obviously, when you want something that you don't have, you're going to be able to feel the irritations of the aspects that you don't have, that you right? You're going to feel irritation that you don't have what you want. You might even also feel extra like vehement or even like angsty about like how deserving you are about these things because, you know, you've been wanting them for so long, right? If we can soften those edges and really allow ourselves, now this is where the power of what we call the divine feminine and feminine manifestation really come in. Somehow, for most of us, if we can bring that element of desire to the yoni space or to the sacral, like where your uterus would be housed, to that sense, that felt sense in our body, and just bringing our awareness to that part of our body and bring the awareness of the deliciousness of those elements that we desire in that time freedom or in that whatever it is, psychic development, spaciousness, bring those elements that we really truly desire and feel it and bring that consciously, like you bring your breath down into your yoni space or your sacral and just like allow them to sit there. Visualize that if you want to. It doesn't really matter what you use, but these are all of our tools, the tools of imagination, the tools of visualization, the tools of just intention. Like these are the power tools of the wizard, the power tools of the shaman, the power tools of the healer, the power tools of the divine feminine manifester, really. So use whatever tool you want, but just consciously intend to bring the deliciousness of those things you want and just the core gem elements of the things you want without all the, I'm so mad I don't have it yet. I've been fucking wanting this forever. So-and-so down the street has it and I don't. She doesn't even know how to appreciate it. You know, all that stuff. Forget about that. Just stay on the thing and bring that in. And for some of us, that's going to be challenging because for some of us, we have to really let ourselves want a thing that we haven't had. We have to let ourselves want it, even though it sucks to not have it, you know? So it's an exercise. But if we can do that on top of focusing on those 7 things, right? Dude, our shit's going to completely transform. Now that's just something I'm answering. That's my answer. And I also want to say, for those of you who have been tuning in with us, whether you're listening to a replay or whatever, if you've been here, check in with your body right now. How do you feel? My energy has spun way up, and I imagine that you can feel a difference in your body too.
Oh yeah, baby. I feel that. I love that. And I love that we got homework special from Amron. Very cool. I can't wait to do this myself.
I'm gonna do it too.
Yes, let's do it. So Walnut, when you hear this, and if you're in the Walnut Tree on Facebook, share with us and tag us so we can do all the things together and hear all about it. But I also just wanted to comment on how, you specifically focus on the one box. God, I feel like we could talk for hours. You specifically spoke on the one box being the 9 to 5 work, right? But just that reminder that it is just the one box. It's just the one aspect. And I feel like a lot of the time, myself included in the past, I've lived for this one box. I've done everything for this work, for this job or this thing. When actually we get to have a multitude of boxes to do the 7 thing exercise with, like, and I'm just like spiraling into all the things because I'm in this like energy right now. But there's so much more than just this box. There's so much. So I think that's a way to kind of come full circle and come back to sort of where you began. So before we wrap up, Amron, oh my God, there's so many other things I want to talk
about. Your energy feels so delicious right now. I just want to bask in it. Yes, let's just sit here. This is good.
I know, I love it. I'm just having such a good time. I just want to keep talking. But before we wrap up, is there anything sort of left on your heart that you feel unsaid or that you want to speak directly to a Walnut about, or about this experience, anything like that you feel you want to share before we wrap up?
Oh, let me feel into that. Worthiness is coming up. Yeah, and it feels a little bit like it's associated with some tender sadness there. For maybe it's just one walnut, who knows, but that piece about, oh boy, it is heavy. Okay, let's see. Let me feel into the words for it here. If I were to speak for that side of self, which I like to call the small self, she's afraid, she's insecure, she's not sure if she has the right to be here. She's not sure if she has the right to claim what she wants because it might take up too much space, too many resources. It might pull from someone else's peace and stability. That's what your small self is saying right now. And I want to take a moment and hear her out fully. I want to encourage you to take a moment and hear her out fully. And maybe even write out what she's saying so that you can see it on a page in one long string of a line of a sentence. So then she feels accounted for and heard. And then she feels safer for that concern to be put to rest. And then go back and listen to this episode again and go back to the part where Laura and I got really pumped about worthiness and your right to be here, and the fact that you chose and volunteered, in fact, to come down here, like helicopter, parachuting down, jumping out of a helicopter style. Like you fucking volunteered at that kind of a level, got hit on the head with a frying pan right as you were leaving the aircraft, free falling for days, who knows how long, right? Then your freaking parachute comes out and you plop out of someone's vagina, and here you are. So yeah, it's funny. Like, I want you to be laughing, and it's to lighten up the fact that, this is sticky. This is sticky residue like stuff that keeps us immobile, that keeps us stuck and not choosing ourselves and averting our eyes from that which we truly deeply want and desire. And that's all I want to say.
Oh my God, Walnut, are you hearing this? I'm dying. I just feel so good.
Walnut. I'm a walnut too.
Yeah, we're all
I'm just a big sister walnut putting my arms around you.
Yeah, we all have done things, and Walnut, you have too, of like where you are brave and you've done a brave thing, and it's brave sometimes to even hear this, and hear this and discuss it with your own self and your own brain. So Walnut, just celebrate yourself today, definitely, and let us know. So Amron, do you want to tell the Walnuts where to find you on the onlines if they're like, oh my God, I need to get some more? And
Sure. I am not on Facebook, not active on Facebook. You can find me, but it's pretty dormant over there. But every day I am on Instagram, and I am at Amron Bevels MD, MD as in medical doctor, Amron Bevels MD. And then I do have a website I would love to have any Walnuts who feel called, and only those who feel called, to visit. It's called thepriestesstransmissions.com, and it does hover around what's current and around the book, which was just released in February. And the book is a channeled book of activations. So you can just very passively receive the book. And don't worry, it'll spit you out when you've gotten your brain too full. Activating your core template, activating elements that are available to be turned on and lit up. It's a beautiful read, and it's lovely. I mean, really, really lovely. And I can say that not from a place of ownership, but just as a place, from a place of stewardship. I helped bring it forward, but it is by no means mine. And I think you'll love it. And then also the Priestess Transmissions invites you to take a look at our mystery school and our current offerings. We love spending time with rising priestesses.
Oh, yeah. And I definitely can vouch for the book and those transmissions, because holy fuck. And of course, like, I get the book delivery and I've started reading it when, like, my themed month card is the High Priestess. Like,
what?
It's all like lining up. It's all very delicious and beautiful. Now I'm thinking of you, and it's like, yeah, what the fuck? Taking it on the little plate that has been presented. But so Walnut, if you enjoyed this episode, definitely take a little screenshotty and share and tag us on the Instagrams or wherever you feel called. And definitely do jump into my group on Facebook if you want to discuss this further, because, like, I want to hear about your homework, and I'm sure Amron does as well. So
I would love it.
Journey. Yeah, definitely.
I think I'm going to pop into your Facebook group, Priestess, and just say, hey, because I do want to check in.
Definitely jump on in. And what was I going to say? I'll put all of Amron's links and things in the show notes so you can find her nice and easily. But yeah, like, similar to me, Instagram's probably the most funnest, easiest place of all. But for further discussion, definitely the Walnut Tree is the place where you want to be. But I'm waffling now because I never wanted to end. Amron, thank you for visiting Walnut Wednesday, the podcast. This has been such a wonderful chat. And can you just mention you have a podcast too? If people want to just hear your voice more, what's the link for your podcast?
Sure, it's on iTunes, and it's called the Root to Crown podcast. Root, the number 2, crown, no spaces.
Cool, awesome. I'll pop that in the show notes too, Walnut, just if you want to hear more voice.
Laura, it's so wonderful to be with you. I really, really enjoyed our time together. I hope to do it again.
Yes, please come again.
I just want to hang out.
I know. Like, can you feel this, Walnut? It's like we don't want it to end. It's so funny. Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you. And Walnut, thank you for being here and for your time and for your energy and for your listening to my voice and Amron's voice. I appreciate you. We appreciate you so much. So everybody, on that note, have a happy Walnut Wednesday, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.